Because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN, you're fake news. You have an agenda.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Liberal Expression. It was another week of madness, and as we've come to learn here at the MRC, if you watch the liberal media long enough, you do occasionally get some glimpses of actual reporting. Tuesday morning on MSNBC brought us one of those brief glimpses. In fact, it must have been the toughest day they've had at that network since reading the presidential election results.
What are you hearing? What are you learning?
Hallie, after 2 years and interviewing more than 200 witnesses, the Senate Intelligence Committee has not uncovered any direct evidence of a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia. That's according to sources on both the Republican and the Democratic side of the aisle, Hallie.
200 interviews, 2 years of investigations, a whole lot of money, and not the answer the liberal media wanted. How traumatized was NBC, BuzzFeed, Universal as a whole by this revelation? Well, the network's nightly news skipped reporting it entirely. MRC analysts examining all coverage on ABC's World News Tonight, the CBS Evening News, and NBC's Nightly News found that they spent 2,202 minutes on the Russia investigation between January 21st, 2017 and February 10th of this year. However, none of those shows mentioned the investigation as of the end of February 12th. I mean, suddenly they seem to not be interested. Perhaps they're all too busy covering Robert Francis O'Rourke's rally in Texas.
Beto O'Rourke, who is mulling a potential 2020 bid, is going to be holding a counter rally here tonight about a mile away and about the same time. Remember, he's the former congressman who failed in his bid to take on Senator Ted Cruz, but he became a rising star in the Democratic Party. So tonight he's going to be holding an event. It's going to start with a march.
NBC, contain yourself. You know, it's not just them. The liberal media was excited as they gave O'Rourke coverage, but they all seem to miss a part of the event. Local news source KXAN TV happened to catch it, though. You know, I wonder why that group of O'Rourke supporters didn't get the national airtime they so justly deserved. I guess we'll never know, huh? Also missing between February 7th and February 13th, ABC, CBS, and NBC's evening news programs all failed to cover the Green New Deal. Although that was certainly entertaining. It had derision, distancing, denials. It even had Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's website listing, granted for a short time, the measure's goals to pay people that were unwilling to work and to stop cow farts and end plane travel. I mean, how could you not cover this stuff?
The Democrats have a Green Deal that wants a 70% tax rate, that wants jobs for everybody, even if you just hand it to you, that just tuition, hand it to you. Socialism. We are in a dangerous place, and if people in the party don't start to speak up against people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is young and dynamic, but does not know what she's talking about, and her cohorts, some of these new, fresh, progressive faces, are going to hand the presidency back to Donald Trump.
While MSNBC gave some brief flashes of honesty this week, at CNN they continued their fine tradition of yelling racist at every opportunity possible. I know, big surprise here.
But we've got a lot to talk about. Why he's there. To get his wall. To blatantly attempt to stir up fear of people of color, of brown people, as my colleague Chris calls it, the brown menace that he's trying to scare you with.
So let's end with some payback. CNN's Jim Acosta gets dismantled at the White House after President Trump announces that he's declaring a national emergency to obtain border wall funding.
Let me just ask you this. What do you say to your critics who say that you are creating a national emergency, that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
Moms, what do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons. Okay? Because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news. You have an agenda.
Yeah, it's an agenda they'll continue to push, and we'll continue to bring you the humorous highlights from. I'm Eric Shiner from MRC-TV. We'll return with more liberal media wackiness next week.